Last time, I mentioned that you should start by memorizing these two things when studying Figma. 1. Memorize the basic design tools. 2. Memorize the right panel. First, you need to memorize the shortcuts for the frequently used design tools located at the bottom of the Figma screen. For now, just focus on memorizing the shortcuts for the following 4 tools. The rest can be learned gradually later. Think of it as some of the tools from the top of MS Paint being moved to the bottom in Figma. 1-to-1 Move tool. The shortcut is V. Let's compare it to Paint. Paint doesn't have this kind of tool in its toolbar. It might seem like the shortcut should be M, but the default setting is V, so be careful not to confuse it. This tool allows you to move shapes or text on the canvas and resize them. When this tool is selected, the Move tool area at the bottom will be highlighted in blue. The mouse cursor will also take the shape of the Move tool. 1-to-2 Frame tool. The shortcut is F, taken from the first letter. This tool creates photo frames. Although I referred to it as a photo frame for better understanding, it just looks like a rectangle on the Figma screen. It can be confusing with the rectangle tool described next. So let's compare them using the analogy of a frame in paper. Inside the frame, you can place shapes, text, or images. You can even place another frame inside a frame. Anything placed inside a frame will move along with the frame. You can also fill the background of the frame with colors like white, black, red, or any other color. When this tool is selected, the Frame tool area at the bottom will be highlighted in blue. The mouse cursor will appear as a plus sign. This shape is similar to the cursor shape in Paint. 1-to-3 Rectangle tool. The shortcut is R, taken from the first letter. Let's compare it to Paint. It is the same as the rectangle shape in Paint. This tool creates rectangular pieces of colored paper. Unlike a frame, you cannot place anything inside the rectangle. You can't add another rectangle text or images. Nor can you insert a frame. Although you can't put anything inside the rectangle, you can place other shapes, text, or images on top of it. But since they are only placed on top, moving the rectangle will not move the items placed on it. For convenience, I've only mentioned the rectangle shape, but in Figma, there are other shapes as well, such as circles and lines. If you click the arrow next to the rectangle tool, you will see other shapes. Selecting one will allow you to draw that shape. And like a frame, you can fill it with any color. When this tool is selected, the rectangle tool area at the bottom will be highlighted in blue. The mouse cursor will have the same shape as it did when the frame tool was selected. 1-to-4 Text tool. The shortcut is T, taken from the first letter. It is the same as the text tool in Paint. It is a tool that allows you to write text. When this tool is selected, the text tool area at the bottom will be highlighted in blue. The mouse cursor will have the same shape as before. When to use the Move tool. When working on designs, you will most likely use the Move tool most of the time. This is because you will often need to move shapes around, check or adjust the size of shapes, and make other modifications. For convenience, I've specifically mentioned shapes, but with the Move tool, you can also move or modify images, text, and frames. When to use the Frame tool. Let's assume you joined Coupang last week. Over the past week, you've received various explanations about the company and your work. Finally, today, you've received your first task request to design a banner. You've been given access to a website where you can freely download the planning documents and necessary images. You open the existing Figma file for the banner design and you're instructed to create a new frame with the same size as the frame one and name it 2. You're supposed to work on the design within that new frame. So the first thing you need to do is create a new frame next to the one frame with the same size. When starting, it's best to first create a work area with a frame and then work within that frame. There are several reasons for this, and one of them is as follows. When you work inside a frame, it groups the contents within it. This makes it easier to move the frame around and organize the contents inside it. When to use the rectangle tool. Personally, I don't use the rectangle tool much. However, since it's one of the most basic tools, I included it in this basic tutorial. It can be used to create icons. I usually download icon design sources from websites or use Figma plugins, so I don't use it often. However, for the sake of understanding, let's take an example. You can use it to create something like the menu icons on the YouTube homepage. When to use the text tool? Like I explained just earlier, you are going to use this tool when you want to write text. Quiz. You now need to explain the content you just heard to actress Jane Fonda. Please explain it in a way that she can easily understand. 1. Explain the move tool as if you are explaining it to her. For example, explain about its location, shortcut key, function, when to use it. 2. Explain the frame tool as if you are explaining it to her. For example, explain about its location, shortcut key, function, when to use it. 3. Explain the rectangle tool as if you're explaining it to her. For example, explain about its location, shortcut key, function, when to use it. 4. Explain the text tool as if you were explaining it to her. For example, explain about its location, shortcut key, function, when to use it.